Hey guys, today we're going to pick up on, based on what we did yesterday, which was mole to mole conversions when given a balanced chemical equation, but today we are going to concentrate more on mass to mass. Why? Because that's what we do in the lab. It's slightly more important, although the mole to mole is going to be kind of an in-between step. But I'm just going to go right into an example because I think that's the easiest way for you guys to figure this stuff out. But go ahead and read this problem. When chromium powder, so we're dealing with chromium, and iodine crystals are combined, they form a black solid, which is chromium iodide. And the question is, how many grams of chromium iodide would be made if 4.5 grams of chromium reacts with excess, which means lots of extra. You don't have to really worry about it because you have so much excess iodine. So every single time you do one of these problems, you have to have a recipe. Just like we talked about yesterday when we were doing the mole-to-mole problems, you have to have some sort of recipe to guide you as to what the proportions are going to be. So as of right now, we don't have a recipe. So we're going to have to write one. So when chromium powder, so chromium is Cr, and I'm not going to put in the states of matter mainly because I'm really not very good at writing on this thing, and I don't need to add any more little stuff than I need for you to be able to read it. So when chromium powder and iodine crystals, I is iodine, but it's I what? Right, it's I2 because it's one of those in group 17, cannot be by itself, so it's I2. They are going to directly combine to form chromium iodide. Now I didn't write it up here, but chromium is a 3 charge. So if chromium is a +3, then iodine is a -1, then we're going to need 3 of them there. And so that's chromium iodide, Cri3. Now, is this balanced? No, 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 it is not. And so what are we going to need? Oh, chromiums are okay, but iodines are not, and we have a 2 and a 3. Least common multiple of 2 and 3? 6. So we're going to need 6 on each side. So we're going to need a 2 here, and we're going to need a 3 here. And then all of a sudden, okay, now we have 2 chromiums, so we're going to need a 2 here. So it's a 2 to 3 to 2 ratio. So that's our recipe. Now, let's go back to our question here. It's telling us, it's asking for iodine, or excuse me, it's asking for how many grams of chromium iodide. That's what we're looking for. This is the X. That's what we're trying to get to. But it's giving us 8.75 grams of chromium. Well, we have to do everything in moles. These are molar amounts. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Those are molar amounts. So if you give us grams, well, we got to get that to moles. So that's where we go back to the same step that we have been doing for the last 2 weeks. Convert the grams of chromium to moles of chromium. And so we're going to go 8.45 grams of chromium. And I'm going to walk over to the periodic table because I'm not remembering this one off the top of my head. Let's see, chromium we've got is 51.996. So we're going to go ahead and round that straight to 52. 52.00 grams. And so there we go. And now we're going to convert that into moles. How many digits do we have going in? 3. So that's how many we're going to have going out. So if you have your calculator, go ahead and put in 4.5 divided by 52.00, or just 52. And you get something like 0.16. I'm going to go ahead and round it to 3. Okay, and that's moles of chromium. Okay, again, what's our end game? We're trying to get grams of chromium iodide. So our next step is we need to go from moles of chromium to moles of chromium iodide. And we do that from our recipe step. So we've got 0.163 moles of chromium. And from our recipe step, we know that for every 2 moles of chromium, we get 2 moles of chromium iodide. Ooh, that makes it easy, because why? Because, well, the moles of chromium cancel. Chromium cancels. 2 and 2 cancel, right? So it's just 0.163 times 1. So we have 0.163 moles of chromium iodide. But again, what's the end game? What is it asking for? It's asking for grams of chromium iodide. So now we have to go from grams or moles to grams of chromium iodide. How do we do that? We multiply by the molar mass. So here we go. That's chromium iodide. For every 1 mole of chromium iodide, it weighs, let's see, we've got a 52 from chromium. And then we have 3 iodines, which iodines, they're a big one. Again, I'm going to have to go over. I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Oh, I just know it's big. 126.90. So we're going to have to do that times 3, because we have 3 of them. 126.90 times 3 equals 380.7. So we got 7, 2, what is that, 13? 432.70. Hopefully I didn't screw that up. I'm sure you'll tell me if I did. Let's see, 432.7, and now we're going to multiply that by 0.163, and so that means it's going to make 70.5 grams of chromium iodide. Okay? Now, that's our answer. That was what we were looking for. And notice we went through 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to do that. Okay? It can actually be done in one big conversion. So that's what I'm going to show you on the next page, is one big conversion. And I'm going to go ahead and go here, but I'm going to rewrite our balanced chemical equation up here, because we're going to need that again. Okay, and this is how we would do, and this is how you would set up one big conversion. Okay, we started with, what did we start with? 8.45 grams of chromium. And we need to divide by the molar mass to get to moles of chromium. Then it was the recipe step, so for every 2 moles of chromium, it's 2 moles of chromium iodide. And then finally, we multiplied by the molar mass of, what was that, 470 point, oh, what was that? 470 or 4 something, whatever that molar mass was. I'm forgetting it now, but it's blah, blah, blah. Your molar mass of the chromium I3 goes there. And then if you do this all the way across, if you can multiply all the way across and then divide by the bottom, those of course would cancel, so you don't have to do that. You would end up getting the same answer as we did before, except all in one big step. As we go through problems, I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you both ways of doing it, but for right now I'm going to end it here because I'm already at 9 minutes, and I think that's going to be good enough. I may come back and do another tutorial on these next couple. I'm going to see how you guys do in class just with this. So, okay, thanks. Talk to you later.